Hi. So I was hoping I wasn't going to make another video so soon after my last one, but things just keep on happening and my eyes just keep on being drawn to things and articles and videos and things that really piss me off and really concern me. And whether you're aware or not, I'm going to bring it to your attention. So I just finished watching a video by a chap called Carl Vernon. Subscribe to his channel, so shout out to him, Carl. And he talks about how there's a primary school, headlines in the newspaper, primary school it says primary school becomes first in country to make all children wear face masks. Now, this is of particular interest to me because, as some of you may or may not know, I was a teaching assistant for 14 years. So, the education of our children, our children growing up in a safe environment, being looked after, growing up into being well-rounded, confident individuals is important to me. Or else I would have worked in schools and I would have stayed 14 years in such an environment. So this school is down the road from where I live. It's in Bletchley near Milton Keynes, and I live in Bedford. And so I was watching this Carl Vernon video and he was talking about it. So I brought up the article here on my laptop, and I'm just going to read it to you. And then we'll talk about it a little bit, shall we? Okay, here we go. Let me see if my computer behaves itself, because it's not going to bring it up now. Oh, there it is. There you go. So it says, primary school becomes first in country to make all children wear face masks. The head of Premier Academy's Eton Mill Primary School in Bletchley near Milton Keynes, Buckinghamshire, told parents they should send their kids to Hogwarts if they are not taking the pandemic seriously. That's nice of him, isn't it? So let's scroll down and let's see the rest of the news. So there's a nice picture there of the school. So the article begins. A primary school has become the first in the country to make all children wear face masks when they start the new term next month. The head of the school has also warned parents they should send their kids to Hogwarts, Harry Potter's school, if they are not taking the coronavirus pandemic seriously. Only children in reception class will not be forced to cover their faces, according to the edict sent out by Warren Harrison, Chief Executive Officer of the Premier Academy's Eton Mill Primary School. That's kind of him, isn't it? He's letting the primary school children not wear it, but he's not going to force them, but he's going to force the other children in the rest of the school to wear it. In a newsletter sent to the parents on Monday, Mr. Harrison slammed the government for doing everything on the hoof and said the Premier Academy was acting with common sense, logic and reason in the face of... Let's scroll down. My computer's not playing ball this afternoon. Hang on, it's just not scrolling down when it should. Yeah, so it says, in a newsletter sent to parents on Monday, Mr. Harrison slammed the government for doing everything on the hoof and said the Premier Academy was acting with common sense, logic and reason in the face of all of coronavirus. All children in year... Oh, my computer's gone now. It doesn't want me to say it, does it? No, right, I'm going to have to say... Hang on, let me see. Hold on, it's going round and round in circles and it doesn't want me to read this article to you. No, it's gone on to a completely different site now. It's kind of diverted me to somewhere else, and that is like, why? Partway through reading it, and it's like, no, not having it. Don't want it. So, by the way, this is the mirror.co.uk website, so you can look at it for yourself. If you just put Bletchley Primary School masks or something like that as the search. I don't know what's going on with this afternoon, but my computer is like really not wanting to play ball. So anyway, look for the article. I was going to read it all in its entirety, but obviously my computer has got different ideas. Hang on. Oh, it's come back. So it says, all children in year 1 upwards who return to the school in Bletchley near Milton Keynes, Buckinghamshire on September the 8th will have to wear masks or visors. And it's got a picture of a father holding his hands with his little girl. She's got her little school uniform on and she's wearing a mask. That's not normal. No, not accepting the new normal. No way. Scroll down, it says, but the plan goes against government guidelines which state children under the age of 11 do not have to wear masks. So this head teacher seems to think he knows even better than the government. Government don't know anything anyway as it is. But this one, he tops the government because he thinks he's even more wise than the government. The two of them aren't wise, not at all. Says the newsletter, which was signed off with "Stay safe, mask up and stay classy," states all staff, children, parents, carers and visitors must don a mask when on site or they will not be allowed access. Face coverings are not acceptable. We recommend the N95 or surgical masks. Our kids in surgical masks, people. Once in their bubbles, children and those members of staff in close contact with children will change from a mask to a named shield which will be supplied by the school. Anyone may, however, stay in a mask if they prefer. What if they don't prefer? Reception-aged children will not be mandated to wear a mask or face shield. However, we would encourage you to encourage them to do so at the current time. So although they're not going to make them, they're encouraging the parents to encourage their little reception-aged children that are about 4 years old to wear them. When moving around the school, masks or shields must be worn, e.g. visiting the toilets. When not in the classroom, masks may be removed for eating purposes, because that's when the virus knows to leave you alone. They're eating, so I will hover away and I'll go somewhere else here, and then I'll come back again once they've got their masks on. And when outside the building during the bubbles daily walks. Oh, they've got daily walks. That's kind of them, isn't it? All cross-bubble contact between children and staff will need all parties to don a mask. So they're all in little bubbles, and you can go for your little walk in these little bubbles, but you can't really kind of meet each other and everything. And if you happen to meet each other, you have to be wearing this mask. At a dismal time, all shields should be left on desks. At dismissal time, all shields should be left on desks with water bottles so that they can be cleaned efficiently. Children will be dismissed in masks to adults wearing masks. It went on to ask everyone to try and maintain a 2-metre distance and said face shields would be named and provided by the school. It went on, make sure that your child understands why they are wearing a mask. Teach them how to apply it and remove it and slip their arm through it up to their bicep for when they go to the dining hall or their daily walks. It would also be useful if they could practice wearing a shield over their face for a while at home to get them used to this too. Please note that the following steps are precautionary measures designed to protect everyone from C-19 and especially the more vulnerable members of staff. These measures will be reviewed monthly. However, we expect more schools to follow suit. The school is also cancelling breakfast and after-school clubs, and Mr. Harrison went on to criticise the way the government had handled its response to the pandemic. He said, "If it goes well, you never know, it may catch on. From what we have witnessed so far, doing everything on the hoof doesn't really pay dividends, especially given the fact that government is now scapegoating Public Health England, which will be disbanded by Hancock, who actually has direct control of PHE and is the same man who told NHS workers back in April that wearing masks made no difference. If this sounds too far-fetched, then please avoid talking to 18-year-olds about their exam results." And then it goes on and goes on and goes on. It's all a crock of shit, right? If this doesn't concern you as a member of the public and as a parent, then we've got no hope. If I was a parent at this time and I had young children, no way would they be going back to school. I would be making alternative arrangements. And I've spoken about this before, about children maybe having a cooperative put together of parents, of mothers, that they can each take in turn to have a small group of children and they can homeschool, with their classmates or whatever. Of course, with the approval of the parents, but no way, no. And then it was pointed out in this video that I was watching that Carl Vernon was talking about this very same subject, about a German article and a newspaper article. And I'm trying to bring that up now, but just, let's see if the computer actually... and I'm not going to read this all, I'm just going to read the headline because I'm sure you can bring it up as well. So it says... German study finds no evidence coronavirus spreads in schools. And in fact, lots of doctors are coming out, and there are lots of articles that actually talk about how children can't actually spread it. It's a 0.00%, whatever it is. You're more likely, or your child, or any child is more likely to be hit by a car or have a road traffic accident or even be struck by lightning than they are to have the coronavirus, right? So, and then what was the other article? And then there's a school in Dublin, and its headline on the newspaper article is "Mask-Free Breaks in Dublin Schools." And that article talks about how the children in their schools are going to be given breaks so they can take their masks off, right? They're going to have mask-free breaks. Now, if these masks were so important in protecting you from the coronavirus, aren't you putting your children at risk by letting them take it off and letting them go and have a break from their masks? Or is it because they know that the masks actually damage and harm their children? It physically is doing the mask wearer more harm than it is doing good. So they have to provide for some kind of a break for those children not to be in the masks the whole school day. So, yet again, something else has triggered me because I've seen something, I've watched something, and this is close to my heart because I've worked with children, like I said. And if you are in the teaching profession, now I've got lots of former colleagues of mine that are teachers on my Facebook page. I've not really kept in contact with them in the sense of actually chatting with them, but they're still on my page, and I dare say they see my posts from time to time when I post things, but lots of them kind of refrain from actually replying to any of my posts. But this is also a little message to those former colleagues of mine that may still well be in the teaching profession. Some of them may have retired or moved on to different professions. But I want to ask you, does this sit well with you? Are you in September, some of you going back? And if you are going back, hand on heart, are you happy with the new provisions? And do you think they are really for the safety of the children? Because if I was in school now and if I was still a teaching assistant, I would hand in my notice. I would not be party to this. I would not. No. It's psychologically manipulating and damaging our children, not to mention it's damaging them physically. And I've said time and time again, this is not about a virus. It's not about a virus, because it's been proven that children cannot transmit this virus. They're having to wear them in their lessons. There's been some pictures in some other parts of the world where they're in actual cubes. So they've got their desk in front of them and they've got a cube over them, and they're wearing a mask. What the bloody hell? How bad is this virus? And yeah, you are having people falling like flies. They're not dropping like flies. They're not dying. There isn't the vast numbers. Wake up, people. This is not about the virus. I've said it time and time again. Maybe on my gravestone when I die, the epitaph on there will be, "This is not about a virus." Because even in my death, I will be saying this. From beyond the grave. It's not about a virus. The more you kind of say, yes, let's carry on with these. Oh, it's the head teacher. They've made the decision. Well, as a staff, you get together and you say no. They're guidelines. It's not law. Do you know the difference between law and guidelines? Do you know the difference between law and legislation? Do your homework. Don't let it happen on your watch. You're going back to work in September and you're going to glove up, you're going to mask up, you're going to let your children do that, obligate them to do that, and their parents. Ignorance is not an option here. It's not an excuse. You can't be that ignorant. Because it boils down to either willing ignorance or that you just don't care. Which of the two is it? You are willingly ignorant and you don't want to take the time to actually research what harm this does to children? Or do you just not care? What is it with people? Why do they not have a backbone anymore? You claim to profess that you love your children as parents and that you love the children as educational professionals, yeah? We do it for the love of our children. We care for them. We have their well-being at heart. Well, if you did, you would not be putting up with this. You would be saying no. And you would be seeing through the lies of mainstream media and government. But are you too lazy to actually find out what's really going on? Or do you just think anyone like me is just a tin foil hat wearer and think, well, no, don't believe her because she's gone off on one and she's gone crazy. So I'd rather keep, the children in masks and let them kind of acclimatise themselves to this being the new normal. This will never be a new normal if you are a sane person. If you are sane and if you can see through the bullshit, you will not take this as a new normal. And you will do anything you can to fight against it. So hand on heart, whether you're a parent, whether you are in education in any way, shape or form, are you going to say that this is 100% safe for the children? Mentally, physically, emotionally? Are you going to be able to vouch for that? Are you going to be able to say that yes, these children are not going to come out of this badly? They're not going to have breathing problems or panic attacks or any kind of respiratory problems or anything. They're not going to have nightmares about this. And I see parents normalising it, and I see celebrities normalising it. And of course, children are very, very trusting of adults, aren't they? They're very trusting of adults. So if an adult says to a child, masks will keep you safe, there's this horrible virus that's going about, and to keep us safe. And in fact, the other day, I don't know what's happened to the colour here on here. The other day I was walking in town and there was this grandmother and she was holding hands with a little girl. She must have been about 7 years old maybe. And as I was walking past, I caught part of their conversation, and the grandmother was explaining what a vaccine was and saying about how we wouldn't be safe until this vaccine came out. It was like a little injection that you put on your arm there, and it's got a little bit of the virus in it, and that it protects you so that you can have these antibodies that will actually protect you from developing the virus and from getting sick a very simplistic way of describing what a vaccine is perceived to be. The general public think that's what a vaccine is, and that's what they've been told it is. So this little child, this little girl, was listening to her grandmother, and obviously in the grandmother's mind, that's the truth. And in the child's mind, when the child was listening to her grandmother, she's not obviously going to question her grandmother, is she? She's someone that she trusts and she loves. And so you're passing on these false narratives onto the children, because that is not what the vaccine is about. No vaccines really protect. They don't. Not to mention all the rubbish that's in them and everything, and I've mentioned this before. So do you see, it gets handed down from generation to generation. If you're an ignorant adult, you're going to pass on your ignorance and your prejudices and your brainwashed propaganda onto your children and onto your grandchildren. And that's exactly what's happening. So of course, the child is going to turn around, and when it's September and they have to go to school, and the school says the children in our school need to wear a mask, the child is going to be, well, yes, of course, but Grandma explained to me about the vaccines, and this is part of protecting us from this virus. So the child will be thinking, I'm doing my part. I'm kind of protecting everyone, and I'm being a good little girl, I'm being a good little boy, and I'm wearing this mask, and look, it's got Mickey Mouse on it, and it's got like my favourite cartoon characters on it, or it's my favourite colour, and it's pink, or it's blue, and everything, and they pretty it up and everything for the child, so the child thinks that it's okay. But then at the same time, they may, some of them that are the more sensitive children, because all children are not the same. Some of the more sensitive children may actually have the panic attacks. They might have the little anxieties and the crying and wanting to take it off because it feels uncomfortable. If you've ever had children and you see them from a very young age, when you're pushing them around in a pushchair, in a pram, and they don't want to wear their hat, they don't want to wear their gloves, they take off their little booties, their socks, and throw them out of the pushchair. They want to be free of things. They don't like it. They feel kind of claustrophobic and all kind of bundled up and everything. And you're forever putting their little booties back on again. You're forever putting their gloves back on again. Forever putting their little hat on, because they fight against it instinctively, because they don't want to be all kind of wrapped up in everything. For a young child, that's how it's going to feel for them as well. So they're going to be torn. Because on the one hand, their adults in their life are telling them it's for your protection, for you to protect everyone else. And on the other hand, they instinctively want to take this thing off because it makes them feel bad. And so they feel torn. Listen to the adults and do as you're told, or I don't like this, I need to take it off, and they're going to struggle. It's like you're going to expect these children to social distance from one another. And children, what are they like? As soon as they see their best little mates, they go running up in the playground and they hug each other. They hold hands as they're walking along in the playground. They're not being allowed to do that anymore. You don't think this is going to have a psychological impact on them? You don't think what kind of adults they're going to grow into? Do you not think of that? This time you said no. Don't listen to the flipping government. You know what I'm saying is true. You know instinctively that what I'm saying is true. But you don't want to admit it. Because I'm nobody, and the government are the government, aren't they? They're the ones that you pay your taxes to and you moan about. They're the ones that put out all sorts of bullshit laws and rules and regulations, and you begrudgingly do it, and you don't like it, and it's unfair, it's not right, but you do it. And then someone like me comes along and actually says, hold on a minute, but, engage brain, listen. And you're like, no, I'd rather still listen to the government. It doesn't matter that they, screw us out of tax money. It doesn't matter that they've decimated the economy and all the small businesses are all but, they're all just dead in the water. It doesn't matter that there's mass unemployment. It doesn't matter that they're basically micromanaging every aspect of your life and the lives of the children, because you'd rather listen to them and believe them and the BBC than a normal person like me, because I'm considered as being a crackpot. Well, you know this thing about you create your own reality, which I am fast learning is the truth of the matter. You are creating your own reality, and your own reality is going to end up being a nightmare. I'm not buying into it. I'm not letting it actually dictate to me how I live my life, and my reality is going to be a different reality to yours. Now you might think, oh, here she goes, another kind of woo, kind of really weird kind of tangent. But mark my words, law of attraction, you reap what you sow and everything. You want to carry on supporting a government that is taking away all your liberties and the liberties of your children and your grandchildren, and you see what kind of world you will end up living in and that you would have constructed for your children and grandchildren. Seriously. So you post pictures on Facebook and everything of, look at my grandchildren, or look at my children, and look at this. And yeah, lovely, beautiful. They are beautiful children, to be loved, to be cherished, to be protected. But it doesn't stop at just posting a photograph on Facebook about them, or their achievements, what they've achieved and what they've done. They've learnt to swim, they've learnt to ride a bike for the first time, they've cut their first tooth. Protect them truly and really. Protect them where it really matters. Because if you really cherish them, you will say no to all this. And this is where it really, really gets me angry and upset. I'm close to tears here now. Because there's a mixture of frustration and anger and trying to get your attention, and a mixture of sadness. And how can you do that to your children? Just because powers that be tell you that it's for their good, when they're lying to you. How can you do that to your children? Don't allow it. We all have free will, and how are you using your free will? You using it to imprison your children? Because that's what's happening. And they don't deserve that. They deserve their grown-ups, their adults, to be looking after them properly, with integrity, in truth, and with love, not out of fear. You're fearing something that's been manufactured. It's not even really as bad as they say it is. It's not. But as long as you have that fear over you, you will do everything they tell you to do, including selling out your children like that, ruining their lives. Don't let fear be the predominant emotion in this. Let indignation, let righteous indignation, and let the love for your children be the predominant feeling in this. So that's another little thought for you to ponder on. A massive thought to ponder on and to think of. And going by my last video, no one gives a shit. You know why? Because I asked in that last video, if you watched my video, could you at least acknowledge that you watched it by like a little hand or a little like or whatever underneath that video? No. So there you go. Don't say you haven't been warned. When it comes crashing around your ears and you see that your children are being treated in that way and getting ill and having nightmares and having panic attacks and wetting the bed, is that what it's going to take for you to realise that? And then will that be too late? Will the damage have been done, or too late? I'm hoping that you parents and you teachers and you teaching assistants and anyone that's involved in education of our children, I hope that you actually research the harm that is going to fall upon our children as of September. It's going to be ramped up. Now it's bad enough for them having to go into shops with their parents and they're wanting to wear the masks even though they don't need to because they feel left out. Mummy and Daddy wearing a mask. Why can't I wear one? I want one. It's a little adventure. They go off and they go and wear their masks. Or the parents paint it as being a little adventure. No. Don't do it. Don't do it. Right, I'm finishing now. As I've said what I need to say. And those articles there, I'm going to put the links on the bottom of the description bit here in the video if you care to see it yourself. And that's me for now. Bye.